Neil, what is the agency disclosure form?
The agency disclosure form is a form that New York State requires real estate brokers to give consumers in connection with residential real estate transactions.
Okay, so what is the definition of residential real estate transactions?
A residential real estate transaction is a 1 to 4 family transaction. It also includes co-ops and condos.
Is the agency disclosure form required in commercial property transactions?
The agency disclosure form is not required in commercial transactions. New York State law requires real estate brokers to give consumers or anyone that's party to a transaction a disclosure form saying how they're acting. Only in connection with residential real estate transactions is the specific agency disclosure form required. Once again, I remind you, though, that a real estate broker is always required to inform the parties how they're acting in connection with the transaction. That would include commercial transactions.
Is the agency disclosure form used for residential rental transactions?
Yes, there are actually two agency disclosure forms. One is used for rental transactions. The other is for purchase and sale transactions.
Okay, so does the form require that we put an address on that form?
No, there's no address required on the form. The form is relationship-based. It's not transactional-based.
Okay, so can you give me an example of what that means, that statement, that it's relationship-based?
The agency disclosure form is relationship-based. It's not based on a particular transaction. So, for example, I could be representing a buyer, and I could give that agency disclosure form in the summer. We work together a little bit with the buyer, and then we don't work together for a while. Next summer, the buyer comes back to me, and we're working the same capacity. I do not need to re-deliver the agency disclosure form because I've already said that we're acting in that certain capacity, as opposed to saying that we work on a particular transaction together.
So Neil, if I'm working with somebody and there are time lapses, how much time should I let lapse before I re-disclose?
Well, as we'll talk about later, you can never over-disclose, so there's certainly no harm in, if you work with someone in the summer and a couple of months go by, to re-deliver the form so they understand what capacity you're acting. But in theory, there is no time frame. As long as they still understand, or you gave the form and they understood that, there really is no time frame.
Does the agency disclosure form create a contract between the real estate broker and the consumer? No,
the agency disclosure form is simply that, a disclosure form. And if you look at it, it clearly says this is not a contract. So no, it does not create any contract between the parties.